This is rated for mature audiences. Well, not really, but this is gonna get a little dark. Now then, where were we? This is going to be almost completely and entirely original. Throw just about almost everything you know short of power structure about MHA out the window. So, here we go with what if, my version of what if Izuku had a quirk. Izuku's born with his quirk. He doesn't quite know it yet. As usual, I'm taking liberties with Izuku's dad. You may or may not like who his father is, but you'll find out by the end of the video. 3 years go by, and Inko's looking tired and frail. Not old per se, just very, very weak. Izuku, on the other hand, is very vibrant and youthful. You remember when you were a kid and you wanted to go out and play, but you'd get that one reaction from your parents that all kids hate hearing? "I'm sorry, dear. Mommy's tired." Inko passed out on the floor and didn't wake up. Izuku dials 119. However, when they get there, they declare Inko dead. Izuku is officially a ward of the state. His father's not in the picture at this point. Fast forward a year, and Izuku is being examined for his quirk. They think he might have an infection type quirk or something, since every home he's been in has had anyone who so much as comes into contact with him become ill. Not ill exactly, but drained of energy, and their quirk glitches for a bit. "Son, I'm gonna need you to dig down and within and focus on your quirk. There's no need to feel shame. You can't help what your quirk is. It's really hot in here." Izuku twirls his hand and fans the doctor. She is splashed with a copious amount of water. "Well, thank you, dear. I feel refreshed." The doctor found it odd that people complained, since the boy only showed signs of a water quirk. "I don't see why people have a problem with you." The doctor used her quirk to dry off with a towel that was above her. Izuku says something aloud that catches her interest. "Gravitation. Increase or decrease gravity on an object or area to a slight degree. Limited range. Line of sight. The heavier the object, the closer it must be." The doctor ruffles Izuku's hair. "Now, how in the world did you know what my quirk is?" What he doesn't say out loud is this: "Would you like to acquire this ability?" Izuku mentally hits yes, and the power is slotted. "Both slots are now filled. Additional acquired abilities shall be stored in the vault until you wish to swap." As if on reflex, Izuku grabs the sucker in a hub not that far away on a desk and gravitates it his way. The doctor notices that not only did he use her quirk, he seemed to have a little more control over it than she did, and she felt slightly drained. She knew what his quirk was, but breaking the news to him wasn't going to be fun. The doc informed the caregiver that Izuku had a power copy and energy absorption quirk. That's probably why everyone felt weird around him. They quickly discovered that Izuku's absorption part of his quirk was limited to touch. Touch was a necessary component for the energy drain and power copying. Izuku wasn't keen on being touched by anyone other than the doctor, however. "Izuku, take your clothes off, please." "Leave your underwear on, sweetie," she adds, and is shocked by what she sees. Izuku is covered in bruises and cuts. He goes on to explain that he was being picked on for being a villain, and adults didn't help since they couldn't prove anything. FYI, this is a back alley doctor. Izuku lives in a very bad orphanage run by very bad people. This was the final straw for Dr. Uraraka, and she blows the whistle. Turns out that Izuku's orphanage was a farm for the Yakuza where they'd essentially brainwash children at a young age and make them soldiers. Dr. Uraraka's testimony, along with Izuku's proof, was the final tipping point for the police and allowed them to make a solid case. Now, Dr. Uraraka tried to take Izuku with her, but she was told no, and they stated that they're lucky she's not going to jail for operating without a license. Izuku's next home is better by far. However, alright, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. He lives in the friggin' ghetto now, but has a foster family that loves and cares for him a great deal. Izuku quickly makes friends with their actual daughter, Mitsuki, whom he would come to see as a big sister until it was made official, that is. I'm not going to radically change Mitsuki's age here. I'm just going to make her, like, near her final year in high school. Izuku's pretty close to kindergarten at this point, and now that he knows how his quirk works, he can control it to an extent. There's not going to be any more fits of exhaustion from his foster family. He even found something intriguing. Weak powers that can go well with each other can combine. Izuku found this out when he copied Mitsuki's glycerin and her boyfriend, soon-to-be fiancé, Masaru's acid sweat. By the time these powers combined, he had explosion. He swapped out gravitation and found out something new. Power swapping forced a cooldown period of 30 minutes of the newly swapped power. He could still use Hydro, his mother's quirk. Yes, I took a liberty there. But explosion, like I said, needed 30 minutes to set. Izuku found that weird that he could create and manipulate water while his birth mother, could only do the latter, but he put that thought away. Thinking about Inko or Dr. Uraraka just made him feel not good, and he just wanted to feel good. Mitsuki would later reveal that she was pregnant, and Izuku would say, "Yeah, I know." Izuku has been with the Bakugos for almost 2 years by that point, so they know the ins and outs of his quirk, and just figured he noticed the second energy source within Mitsuki. Before you ask why a first grader knows about the birds and the bees, remember the farm he lived in for a small chunk of his life? His innocence was destroyed by exposure to criminal activity and paper-thin walls, so he'd at least figure out that men somehow get women pregnant. He doesn't know how, though. Masaru got a job, and Mitsuki was going to continue school for a bit. She just didn't know what she wanted. They were adamant about becoming functional adults for the life they were bringing into this world, and that got them full approval to remain in her parents' home. Masaru's folks weren't as hospitable and said she should do something that I'm not going to write down or speak about. Izuku asked them if they'd like to know what the baby's quirk would be, since he technically already has it in him. They pretty much said, "We want it to be a surprise, just like the gender." Thanks, though. Mitsuki ruffles her brother's hair and kisses his forehead. Flash forward a few years to see some corporation trying to buy people out of their homes for a rate that wouldn't even get them a flat. We're gonna call this specific corporation Knox Incorporated. They want to build something that the people who live here will never be able to afford. A mall, some sort of premium condo, whatever. I digress. Nox Inc. is told to kindly stick their BS offer where the light don't shine. By this point in time, Izuku has entered second year in middle school, and Katsuki is now in kindergarten. And with a lovely explosion quirk. He doesn't have a Deku to pick on, but he has an Uncle Izuku to chew about for being an idiot when he acts bad. Nox Inc. is trying to make the neighborhood as undesirable to live in as possible, to the point of paying off emergency responders in the area, heroes included. Now, of course, there are some straight arrows other than our favorite smashing blonde and a certain someone's father who can be a bit of a prick. But there are good people. But back to the point. Izuku has been doing rescue work and even has a costume that he put together. One thing that I forgot to mention to you guys on purpose was his absorption quirk doesn't just work with energy. It also allows him to absorb information like a friggin' sponge. The boy goes to a prestigious school and is on a scholarship. As for the suit, imagine a water version of Iron Man's Mark I armor. Only focus on the water and explosions. He figured out that he could gather pure hydrogen and then channel an explosion to make the beam of water. He deemed it the Hydroblast. It killed his reserves of water and sweat, however. But the suit would have him sweating more than enough to make up for that. Izuku notices the smoke from a fire and suits up and propels himself in the air with an explosion and uses the moisture in the air to create streams of water to jet with and maybe do a hydroblast should the need for increased speed arise. It was a good thing that it wasn't an air day, otherwise he'd have to take from his reserves instead, and that would be bad for fighting a fire. Izuku knew full well that this was the work of an arsonist that was most likely on Nox's payroll, but he couldn't prove that. When he arrived, he noticed the flames were blue, and that was weird. This wasn't a standard arson, but a quirk-based fire. Izuku did a scan for human energy sources and noticed that there were some directly above him. He exploded straight up and through the window, landing in and seeing something heartbreaking. A wounded mother and her 3 children. We're going to say that the mother's legs got broken. Get on the bed and hold on tight. Izuku blasts the hole down the floor and grabs the mother, having the children walk out next to him. Thank you, Hydroid. Think nothing of it, ma'am. On a hero's duty, license or not. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a fire to Just before he could blast back into the building to stop the fire, an explosion of pure flame happened. Thinking quickly, Hydroid makes a barrier of water, then protects the family from the flames. The bubble has about the force of a tidal wave, so they don't even feel the heat at this point. However, Hydroid's tank is empty, and it would take way too much time to gather water. Wait a minute. This is where Izuku realizes he's in a friggin' city. There's water all around. He just needs to feel for it. So he feels for the pipes and essentially gets his storm on, drenching the water from within and without as best as he can. This allows people that are trapped access to areas they couldn't get to before due to, well, strong flames. He saved quite a number of people by the time the firemen arrived to finish the job. This company hadn't been paid off, so they arrived in a timely manner. However, unfortunately for Hydroid, so does Aizawa, and he cancels his quirk as he's about to shoot off. You did good work here, but you are going to have to go to jail for unlicensed hero work. The crowd yells at Aizawa, "This is bullshit! You must be on the corpse pocket." Izuku stops them and says that he's not, and he's just doing his damn job. Izuku is forcibly unmasked and detained. Then, to make things worse, tried as an adult since, by Japanese law and American law actually, he's old enough to be held criminally responsible and trialed that way. Charges got trumped up and evidence was planted to make it look like a plant incendiary charge was placed instead of a fire-based quirk being used. Now, people don't know about Izuku's copy quirk. They just think he has two intriguing quirks. So, they don't know that he could have started the fire had he had a power like for that. Now, I'm going to completely rob Izuku of his childhood here, so I apologize in advance. Izuku gets one count of confirmed vigilantism, another count of confirmed, with air quotes, arson, and then he's also being charged with 15 counts of manslaughter, which he's pretty sure won't stick. But even if they don't take, he's still going for the vigilantism and the arson, because even if some people he saved was there, the jury's going to mostly go with the guilty verdict, and he can tell they will. So he's looking at best, he's going to be there for 5 to 10 if he doesn't think he'll be a lifer. Mitsuki sees the injustice that's being laid upon her brother and vows to make a change. She goes to law school and becomes an awesome lawyer. Her first case is going to be to completely dismantle Musutafu versus Hydroid. She would hug her little brother again and make Nox pay for this. Izuku had his usual weekly visitor come by and sit down next to him on the table in the common area. And he looked his visitor in the eye. "Look, All Might, it's not going to work. Unless you've got something big to give Mitsuki, you should just stop trying, my friend." For the first time in years, All Might is beginning to waver. And if you're wondering what's All Might doing here, All Might did some studying. I mean, he knows Aizawa. Aizawa told him that this is pretty much BS, that he's stuck there and his childhood is ruined, so All Might decided to visit him. And he would visit him weekly, tell him stories about his triumphs and such. But back to my point. All Might gives Izuku a bro hug. And that bro hug, unfortunately, was long enough for Izuku's power to do its thing. And it goes off. And this is a full analysis. Confirmation. Name: Toshinori Yagi. Quirk: One for All. Ability: stockpiles power over the generations and transfers to users. Can normally only be transferred by willing ingestion of DNA. Would you like to copy this power? Do I even need to tell you what he says? That's when something intriguing happens. A quirk that has been inside of his cocktail since birth, but in the background since, we're going to call it for now, Energy Mimic. If you guys can think of a better quirk name for Izuku's copy and absorption quirk, please let me know. Naming things like Aizawa isn't my strong suit. back to the story, was stronger despite the fact that he only had 2 slots to use. What the hell is all for one? Izuku thought to himself. All for one and one for all merged to create a brand new skill. Plus Ultra. Passive Quirk. Permanent. Allows for further power evolution and use. You now possess 4 slots. Passive abilities do not require slotting, but will require tethering to a specific quirk depending on the passive. This passive does not require that and will affect everything. The voice inside Izuku's head gave him this rundown in a matter of milliseconds. Izuku whispers, "All Might, I think I just copied your quirk. And I think I know why you're so interested in me, other than my BS trial. You won't find my dad by being close to me. I don't even think he cares short of me being alive. And yes, I know how your power works. I copied it. It did not transfer. You've still got it." Izuku slots gravitation and receives a notification. Abilities similar to your slotted powers have been assimilated. Please evolve. Do you have a name? My name is Reinforce. Until recently, all I could do was explain quirks and ask if you wished to acquire them. Think of me as your user interface. All you need to do is think it, and I shall make it happen if I can. Please evolve your slotted powers. Why is my UI female? You've always felt more comfortable around women. I think you'd go crazy having another man in your head. Rien won that round, and Izuku evolved his slot as powers. Wait! Don't do them all at once! It was too late. Izuku passed out from the force of it all. Reinforce would handle the evolving from now on, or change the interface so he could never do that again. While Izuku is out, Reinforce is running a massive update. Izuku was out cold for a week. All Might was not blamed since it looked like Izuku dropped from exhaustion.